guys? Are you enjoying the conference so far? Yep, that's great to hear. So today I'm going to talk to you about smart contracts. I'm going to talk to you about how to build a business on the blockchain and how I successfully built a $100 million recurring revenue company in just 5 months with blockchain technology. And holy hell, was it a ride. I'm going to talk to you about the steps I see that we need to make in the Bitcoin ecosystem in order to build out smart contracts for enterprise adoption. And I'm also going to talk to you about how smart contracts can teach us to be better programmers, better cryptographers, better human beings. Well, okay, maybe the last one is a bit of a stretch, but hey, we can make a smart contract for that. Oh, and my advice, if you want to build out a business on the blockchain, don't. So, who am I? Well, my name is Kristy-Leigh Minehan, and I am currently Chief Technology Officer for Core Scientific. Core Scientific is a blockchain and artificial intelligence company that is building out these 2 macro trends we've seen today at scale. And we are doing some impressive things there that I'd love to talk to you guys about after the break. But before I became, the shiny corporate executive, before I joined the man, I was Chief Executive Officer of the Minority Group, this ragtag group of developers that built out businesses exclusively on blockchain technology. See, smart contracts are really good for when you're a smaller business with not a lot of headcount and you don't have the kind of operating capital to scale up. And yes, you can replace humans with smart contracts. And I found particular success with anything to do with money, which, come to think of it, is probably why our accounting team is so scared of me. Smart contracts aren't paid to think, they're paid to execute, which makes them a really great model employee. So I've been involved in the blockchain space professionally since 2010, and there's been a lot of trends that I've seen over the years. One of them being that businesses never really started thinking about blockchain and how they could use it until 2015. Now, by then they wanted to put everything on the blockchain. You had your supply chain, your supply management data that you wanted to store on the blockchain, make it highly available. What do? You put it on the blockchain. You've got your medical records that you want to make available to patients and to doctors. What do? You put it on the blockchain. You've got land and registry deeds to document who owns a certain piece of property. What do you do with that? We don't, oh right, that's right, we do put it on the blockchain. It's a blockchain party for everyone. But in 2017, businesses started to push all of this hype to smart contracts. You got your medical records. What do? You start tokenizing it, you charge for access, and you put it in a smart contract. You've got your dental records that you want to put, you want to share between practices. What do? Well, you put pictures of x-rays of Betty's dentures in the blockchain and you put it in a smart contract. You could put your crypto corgis in a smart contract. You could find love in a smart contract. That is an actual smart contract, by the way, on the Ethereum blockchain. It's smart contracts all the way down. So businesses wanted to put everything on a smart contract without actually understanding that it, like the blockchain, is a tool. Everything we have in technology is a tool, and it's about picking the right tool for the right job. So what is a smart contract? Well, essentially, despite being labeled smart, it's actually really dumb. And it's a piece of code that allows you to execute something between party A and party B when a certain set of criteria is met. We have 2 different platforms we use today for smart contracts. We have the Bitcoin platform and we have the Ethereum platform. So I like to say that Ethereum follows the law of code is creativity. And that means that Ethereum was really built out to be an enterprise ecosystem for Turing completeness, which essentially means that anything is possible. Unfortunately, securing a Turing complete environment is really difficult. You see, it becomes the equivalent of proving that a computer program does not have bugs. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is not a Turing complete environment, which means there's only a certain set of states to verify and debug. So Bitcoin follows the creed of code is law, and existing smart contract functionality is built around this idea that transactions can be safe and secure and can be trusted by banks or regulatory entities. So remember, smart contracts are not smart. They can only operate with the parameters that you have set for them, just like any regular piece of code. And they are not applicable for every kind of application. You want to use a smart contract if you have a simple problem that really needs a simple solution, or a complex problem that can easily be broken down. You do not want to use a smart contract if you end up having complex, multi-tiered operations with multiple variables. Why? Simplicity in programming is optimized beauty. And you don't want to push a lot of data through a smart contract. Every time you push data through a smart contract, you have to pay for it. And eventually the costs for automation that contracts provide outweigh any advantages. Not just that, the rule of software security, like I just said, is simplicity is our friend. Complex operations lend itself to traditional systems. But you do want to use a smart contract for accelerating your business. So enterprise started to learn this year. They started to learn that smart contracts aren't that great for all of the wonderful things they wanted to build out, but one of the main advantages is this trustless execution. And it wasn't really fully investigated until some companies had started to explore it. This was a very powerful business accelerator that allowed you to rapidly scale up with as little operating budget as possible. So in October this year, Reid Hoffman, Executive Vice President of PayPal and co-founder of LinkedIn, ended up coming out with a book called Blitzscaling. Blitzscaling is what you do when you want to build a great company and grow really, really quickly. And it's kind of a science and an art of rapidly building out a company to serve a large and usually global market with the goal of becoming a first mover or having a first mover advantage. So one of the techniques is about sacrificing efficiency for speed and without waiting for certainty about whether or not a decision will pay off. The other technique is about automation at scale, being able to grow faster than money can come in, which is, potentially terrifying to investors and to any executive officers. But blitzscaling is how giants like Amazon and Facebook were made. And by building out some of your key processes of your business today on these environments that will continually execute and process their task regardless of your company's success, you're able to actually succeed in a competitive, highly driven market where you may be able to beat out on sheer cash alone. So when I started Minority, I had a goal: build $1 billion business in just 1 year. And everything I did was built around that goal, including, how I ran our company. So I took a step back. I looked at our ragtag team of developers, and I thought, out of all the bottlenecks that happen in traditional large-scale enterprises, what is going to be my pain point? And I thought, what I really, really hate? I hate accountants and I hate taxes. So what if we just build out all of these systems and our processes on the blockchain just for fun? And my poor CFO at the time looked at me and he was terrified because he knew I was crazy enough to do that. So the first thing we did was we automated our payroll. So we started off as a mining company. Part of our mining rewards were collected and then stored in an escrow-based smart contract. So funds were tied up, in a stable coin like Tether from the Bitcoin mining rewards. And upon a certain time period, usually 7 days, could have been a month, the contract all of a sudden pulled out funds and pushes them to wallets that have already been set up in an exact value in USD. After executing this, it proceeded to report all of the funds it had sent to another wallet address, which would then file an invoice and store it later for accounting records. So all of this operation, every 7 days, every month, it only took about 2 seconds. And it was seamless, streamless, and it was fantastic. And that took a huge weight off our CFO at the time. Now take a step back and think about how you handle payroll today in your own operations. Is payroll a nightmare? Because I know it is kind of for us at Core Scientific. It's stressful and it's a lot of work. Imagine that kind of optimization you just gained in a business if you built it out on smart contracts. No need to wait for accountants to verify and issue paychecks. No need for these automated systems that do exist to start, executing on a certain date and taking a hefty fee. And hell, you can pay your employees in cryptocurrency. That was nice. So it was fun to replace a critical financial system of your corporation that could execute on time every time for a fraction of a penny. So then 3 months later, we decide, oh, okay, well, mining was kind of boring, we did that. We're going to be a hosting company. So part of our operating costs are the electricity fees for the machines. And if you have ever had to do a consumption report, and I have to do a lot of them at Core Scientific, let me tell you, they're a pain in the butt. And then the collections, oh goodness, the collections. So all of a sudden, what if you put it on the blockchain? Wait, no, sorry, we actually put it on smart contracts now, right? So we put set amounts per machine. For example, a little S9 here for 75 USD. And we build out a smart contract that these devices mined to. Every X amount of coin, the smart contract would then distribute the funds 2 ways, 30% to us, 70% to our client. It continued to do this until an internal counter had said, hey, great, you've collected 75 USD, and then at which point 2 things happened. An invoice was created for this 75 USD collected for that month's hosting, along with a date and a timestamp, and it was filed away into the records. And then the remaining amount of the mining rewards started going 100% to the client. So we then automated our entire billing process, and we sat back and we thought, whoa, we just kind of did something very revolutionary. We probably shouldn't have this kind of power in our hands, come to think of it. But then we decided, you know what, hosting was actually really boring. We're going to be a store now. And one of the pressure points we had with running a storefront was, after trying existing e-tailer systems, what if we wanted to sell someone else's goods? We had to figure out how to distribute the funds, how to get our markup and our operating fee. How did we do the supply chain and the logistics and the management? How did we make sure the client actually got the piece of equipment or got the piece of hardware or got the item? And then we had to think about how we could end up, protecting our customer, because in a lot of the cryptocurrency environments that we dealt with, it was very much on pre-order or startup time. That means that customers were often, placing significant money for a pre-order item, and they didn't know whether they were going to get the Flamethrower 9000 by Elon Musk delivered on time. So we were like, holy hell, guys, let's put it on a smart contract. So the very first thing we did was we took our existing value of our Flamethrower 9000, which is 60 USD, because for the example in this slide, let's just assume the Flamethrower market has crashed dramatically. And you've got the base cost there of 40 USD that goes to Elon, and we have our shipping cost, of 10 USD that goes to our FedEx or logistics agent, and then we had our 10 USD markup for ourselves. And so the smart contract had been programmed with this split based upon the item code, based upon the invoice. And once a client had paid on our web front end, these funds were immediately split up into 3 other smart contracts that had an escrow. And this was great because this escrow meant that the funds were not released until a certain task was completed. And you had to sign off, each of the parties had to sign off that yes, they had completed their job. So yes, Elon did deliver the Flamethrower. Yes, the logistics agent actually shipped this off and provided a tracking number. Here it is, you can verify it in the blockchain. And yes, we acted as an unnecessary middleman and verified both parties had done that, that had signed off and had approved. Only once all 3 parties had actually signed off for money to be released from the smart contract escrow was, the final amount released to their own wallets so that they could spend it. And it was fast, and it didn't involve existing accounting and contracts, and most importantly, it was a way for us to just know that the customer had received their item. Now, we could have baked some extra logic in there if we were, operating as an enterprise-level company, where we could have put NetSuite integration into the blockchain, had it automatically sent to our database with a nice, financially audited invoice. But hey, scrappy companies that run on the blockchain don't need no accounting system. So this is pretty cool. I don't know about you guys, but I love automation. And maybe there are some of you in the audience that are thinking, well, how do I get building today with Bitcoin contracts, and how do I start thinking about building my business on the blockchain? Well, hold your horses, ladies and gentlemen, because we are not ready yet, sadly. I mean, I know I make it look easy and I make it look good, but that doesn't mean it was. It wasn't all roses and bits. So by now it's probably becoming apparent that we had put a lot of thought into how you do this at scale. Now we had grown to 95 employees, and it was kind of a mess. We had, on average, $25 million coming in per day through our storefront. And one of the big issues that remained for us was around security. You know, once we started getting all of this kind of capital, what would happen if someone got really interested in poking around? Now, as the scrappy private company, I could get away with not so much security, but when I joined Core Scientific and I wanted to bring the same techniques I had learned, the same blitzscaling techniques to help scale up our operations, I realized that, you know, I couldn't do it. I couldn't put a mission-critical system on a smart contract. How would I work with a financial auditor like Deloitte, like KPMG, and assure them that our accounting, our books, our operations were immutable? How would I work with cyber insurance companies? How could I put software systems past industry standards? It couldn't. I just couldn't do it. So James Mickens, one of my favorite researchers, argued that for broader computer security community today, as a whole, we need to have a more holistic view of how we treat security. And the high-level goal of computer security today, when you break it down, is to ensure that the systems we're building will do the right thing, even in the presence of malicious inputs. Now, you might say, what is the right thing? Well, the right thing is that our systems do what users expect, and that they fail in known ways. And the wrong thing is, of course, when the systems violate user expectations and they fail in unpredictable ways. Now, can we say with full certainty that anything in the blockchain space currently is a system that does what we expect and fails in known ways? Show of hands, can we say that? So why am I talking about this? Well, for one, my big plans for cryptocurrency, for getting enterprise adoption in this space, is building out these automation systems entirely on the blockchain and rolling over publicly traded companies onto the blockchain. And I'm pretty bullish on that. And you know, at Core Scientific, we've been making some headway, but we still have some issues. Issues that, ladies and gentlemen, as developers, we need to tackle. If we want this technology to succeed, we need enterprise systems using it today. We need enterprise systems relying on it. So some of those issues today we're facing are, number one, there is currently no industry-defined metric to audit smart contracts. So in traditional software development, you know, we have all kinds of tools and corporations that help us verify, secure, and audit our code. We have compliance policies, we have rules, we have regulations. Right now, the blockchain space is a little bit like the wild, wild west. And a publicly traded company isn't going to build out any of their systems and risk any of their shareholders with technology they do not understand, or they cannot audit, or they cannot verify. Which brings us to the second problem we have, is we haven't fixed the liability problem with Bitcoin. So today, if you have a fraudulent charge on your credit card, Visa handles that for you. They reverse it, they track it, and they report it. And if you use fake IDs on the internet to buy restricted goods, there are restrictions. And there are KYC checks. But in smart contract space, in blockchain space, like I said, it's a bit like the wild, wild west. We haven't fixed that liability problem. Today, a wallet address executes a smart contract, but anyone could have launched that smart contract, anyone in the world, and anyone could be using it. There's no KYC process for using that smart contract, no KYC process for the money going through the smart contract, and no KYC process for the company that put the smart contract up in the first place. If we want to get into the enterprise world, if we really want this technology to succeed and be here 20 years down the future, we need to have liability. And goodness, that pains me to say that as a crypto anarchist. Number three, we haven't fixed the usability problem. So building smart contracts right now is very hard. There's no UX or UI around the code. There's not a functioning IDE or, you know, Bitcoin smart contracts. There are no walkthroughs or tutorials yet, and there's no test network for side execution and validation. Usability is key to creativity. Usability is key to enterprise. And when you're thinking about building out your systems, you need to think about how, you know, average Joe, non-coder, is going to get engaged in your system, how he's going to interact with it, how he's going to use it. So I said this before, trustless environments are very powerful business accelerators. Very powerful. But guess what? So are regulated environments. So I truly believe in the power of blitzscaling a business on the blockchain. I've done it once and it was incredibly successful. It's led to where I am today. And I tell myself time and time again, I can do it once more. But this time the rules are a little different. I'm not playing in the underground world of miners anymore. I'm playing in the world of the Microsofts, the Amazons, and the Deloittes. I believe in the future of smart contracts, and I fight for a future, where I can replace my accounting with smart contracts. And I believe in the future of building out my store with smart contracts. I see a future where we can replace Patreon with smart contracts, and we can help giants like Amazon build out their storefronts. We can help logistic and supply chain managers. We can help out inventory management on the blockchain. We don't get there, however, until we've solved the liability problem, until we've solved the UX and the UI problem. And hell, while we're at it, until we've got some cute little animal mascots. And if Ethereum gets crypto kitties, I vote we get crypto corgis. So 2019, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the year of the blitzscaled blockchain company. And you can bet I'm going to be there building it out under Core Scientific. The question is, ladies and gentlemen, are you going to join the blockchain revolution? Thank you.